Welcome back, everyone, to our Elden Ring lore playthrough. When last we left off, we had gone a bit in through the consecrated snowfield. We got invaded by a sanguine noble, kicked his ass, and then found a bloody teleporter behind him that led us down here to the Moghwyn Dynasty area. And we are finally going to explore this. We unlocked this way back in our first trip to Liurnia, and the reason we unlocked it is so I could kill that crow right down there 1,000,000,000 billion times. In fact, one more for the road. Whoops. Up. Uh-oh. I say one more for the road, and then I miss like an idiot. That'll hit. One more for the road. Yay! Anyway, you can see that here at the Moghwyn Dynasty, they allow the Albinaurics here, but I like to think that these Albinaurics were probably trying to get to the Halig tree at some point in time, but didn't make it all the way there. They got lost along the way, instead made it here. That's why these guys are all on the ground, kind of somber and whatnot, and then the ones that said, you know what, fuck it, we ball. I'm in with the Blood Boys. Those are the ones coded in red that are actually up, about, and attacking. That's how I power leveled? Yup. Because those crows are worth at least 11,000 minimum each. It is very, very fast to shoot one, sit down, and then shoot another, and repeat the process. Sometimes the crows will spawn with extra runes inside of them, as any enemy can, so sometimes they're worth closer to like 15, 16k. And then, if anytime I had gold pickled fowl's feet, I would pop those for extra runes as well, for like 2 minutes. I still had to kill many, 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 many crows. But it works. The only better power leveling that you can do is either glitches or killing all these Albinaurics sitting here, and the only way to do it fast enough to be better than the crows is with a weapon that you don't get till New Game Plus. And I've tried the glitch method, and the glitch method that you can do is good, but it's also RNG for how much you get. Sometimes you'll get like 1,000 runes, and sometimes you'll get like 40,000 runes, something like that. It's very very hit or miss for whether it's worth it. Okay, anywho. You can use Torrent here, by the way. For most of this area, at least. And since Thor WRNG exists... Well, it's not only that, it's also the fact that you have to do some setup for it, and if your setup fails and you have to restart that and whatnot, basically you have to parkour against some rocks, and you can get consistent at it. I was consistent enough at it to try it several times in a row. But even then, once in a while, you'll still mess up and then have to restart, and then it's just a lot more consistent and fast at the end of the day to just pull out a bow and kill a crow. Ash of War, Blood Tax. Ow. Little bleedy boy. Sir, if I could just hug your back real quick. No? Okay. Alright. Ash of War, Blood Tax. Let's see. There it is. Blood Oath skill granted by the Lord of Blood. Twist to build power, then unleash a flurry of thrusts that rob the target of both their blood and their HP. Usable on any armament capable of thrusting except for colossal weapons. It's just the very fast thrust, very fast multi-thrust, but with bleed. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh, you got that long stagger before you swing. Just want a couple backstabs, my dude. Is that so much to ask? By the way, we're in a blood swamp. I hope you've noticed. Miyazaki once more with his swamps. He's never satisfied. How many does he need? Rising from the blood. Oh, that's a lot. Oh boy, they're a-coming. No, you'd think them shooting spikes all through their body would hurt them, but they seem pretty cool with it. Whoop. Okay. How did you track me like that, man? It's because your eyes are glowing with extra rune power, that's why. See, that was worth 10,220 instead of the usual amount. Like I said before, every so often you get enemies that work that way. God, these are just more annoying bone wheel skeletons sometimes. No. Stop it. Yeah, see, that one was worth 2,000. The one with glowing rune eyes was worth 10,000. That's a good return on investment. Perhaps this is the Bloodborne that everyone's been talking so much about. After all, these enemies seem to be born of the blood. Let's see, there should be some stuff. Oh god, that's so many of them. What a patrol. There are so many Albinaurics here. Also, it makes perfect sense that the Albinaurics would step in line with the Lord of Blood and whatnot, because remember how Vare described him as loving, someone who would allow anyone into his warm and gentle embrace. And regardless of how true or untrue that is, I'm sure the Albinorex are a little bit starved for any level of hope and possible kindness, considering their treatment has been genocide, 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 and genocide. Makes sense that they'd be happy enough to join this. And we got Swarm of Flies. A Blood Oath incantation shared from the Lord of Blood's power releases a swarm of blood flies before the caster to assault foes. The vile swarm deals damage and builds up an onslaught of blood loss. This incantation can be cast while in motion. The new palace of the Lord of Blood lies in a swamp of festering blood, and these flies are said to spawn from excrement in that land. Poopy blood flies. Okay, yeah, we're going this way. Now this looks like it's alive, but it's just like a dead blood crow lying here. Covered in those horrible calluses. This is the wrong way. I need to go this way. Yes'm? Yes'm, because we want to go through here right now. There's some stuff for us to do here. Oh, stupid blood crow is going to get involved, isn't it? By the way, we can't use Torrent right now, because we're being invaded by the nameless white mask. Now, wait a second. He looks familiar. Vare, is that you? I thought we were bros. Oh, God. He swings fast with that dagger, and it does insane damage. Swarm of flies. That missed? Let's try again. Seriously, what upgrade is his dagger at? Because it does insane damage. And now he's spamming flies. And it's so fucking fast, man. God. Owie. We did it. We defeated the nameless white mask. Now it's time to defeat a crow. This technique has worked for thousands of years. Why wouldn't I continue it? Oh, God! That's why. Uh-huh. It's the fake. Oh, it's the fake out. Fuck, I didn't realize. Oh my God. That damage. Holy fuck, dude. Late game Elden Ring. Your stats don't matter. Everything two-shots you anyways. Yay. Let me just get rid of you so that you don't cause problems when I go back there. Oh, I say everything two-shots you, unless they do a grab attack. If it's a grab attack, it just one-shots you. Alright, let's try this again. Ow. fuck. It'd be a fine idea if I was allowed to get far enough away from this thing to heal and not take a hit. But it's not designed like that. It's designed to punish everything that you possibly do to try to get away from it. Late game, Elden Ring. Everything sucks. Got it. Sheesh. Golden Ring 13. Smithing Stone 6. Is everything in general? Nah. It's just late game Elden Ring because they toned the damage wrong. At least in my opinion. Everything just does too much damage. If things didn't, like, 1 or 2 shot you all the time, then this would be slightly annoying, but perfectly fine, you know? Ah! Yeah, like that, see? That's cool. Just like the part where the dog just did half my bar in one attack. It counts as 1 attack, even though it was 3 hits, because I wasn't allowed to roll between the hits. It's just 1 attack. I said it before and I'll say it again. What they did is they just made everything too fast and too aggressive, and it gets to the point where if you're doing anything other than actively attacking and killing them, you are punished. Heavily. Invaded by nameless white mat. Wait a second, didn't I take care of you? Where is he? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, there's a crow. Leave me alone, crow. Let's come over here, friend. We'll play over here away from the crow. Do-do-do-do. Oh, come on, man. Stop with the flies so that I can attack you without the massive repercussions. There we go. So, hey, he invaded us not once, but twice. I sure hope he doesn't have a 3rd invasion. That would be crazy. Do you guys think he might have a 3rd invasion? Nomadic Warriors Cookbook 24. That lets you make blood stuff. Oh no. Leave me alone, crow. Oh, there's some rock grease here. No, 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 no. Frickin' dogs. Oh, hey, I got kicked off torrent. Surely there couldn't be a third invasion. Surely. Oh my god, there's a third invasion by the Nameless White Mask. Jesus. Imagine if its dagger did actual dagger damage instead of this shit. We get the white mask, the white war surgeon gown, the war surgeon gloves, and the war surgeon trousers for defeating the third invasion of the Nameless White Mask. It's Vare's set. Did you like Vare's outfit? Congratulations, you can now dress like Vare, wherever his white mask is. Where is it? We gotta read it. I think it would be with those, but it's not. Oh, it's here with the hoods for some reason. Bloodstained, faintly grinning white mask, worn by war surgeons who are effectively mercy killers. The Lord of Blood's curse enlivens the wearer when bloodletting occurs. Slightly raises attack power when blood loss is nearby. Okay, now to find his outfit so that we can read the rest of it. Boop, 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 boop. Something died. That was nice of it. War Surgeon Gown, there we go. Bloodstained white gown of the war surgeons who were effectively mercy killers. Of the surgeons that were abducted by the Lord of Blood, none were able to tame the accursed blood. None but Vare, that is, though he was an exception. And the rest of the gauntlets and the pants also say the same thing as the torso piece there. Essentially, what we're learning here is that Vare was a doctor during the wars, but things were so bad about how people were killing each other during the Shattering that he wasn't really able to save lives. He was only able to end lives, you know? Mercy kill people. Ooh, Ghost Glove Wart 9, that's nice. Hey, League Drake Talisman +2. There you go. Big holy resistance right there. Oh, you can eat that. I don't care. That's not a thing that I need to look at. Not an important item over there. But this is as an artery leaf, because it's a slightly rare crafting material. And who knows, one of these days I might use those crafting materials, so I have to hoard them. I do believe there's nothing between me and this, this Grace. Nothing important. There's a couple of upgrade materials. Let me double check exactly the ones. Smithing Stone 6, Smithing Stone 7, and a Smithing Stone 8. That's all. Which aren't... Those aren't amazing. Those aren't the most important things in the world. We can buy them eventually, so I wouldn't get too worked up over them if I were you. Unless you're entering this place super early in the game just to get upgrade materials. In which case, right around this area here, looking for them. They're right around this zone against the walls on either side. On corpses and stuff. When's the game where you can throw your backpack with final mouse and do damage based on hoarding prowess? Oh, that's Backpack Hero. You sort your backpack, and the more well-sorted and well-hoarded your backpack is, the more damage you can do. So, hey, remember those zombies we found before that exploded into fire? These zombies explode into clouds of blood. Newman's Room. Can you tell the theme of this area is blood? Can you tell, guys? There's lots of blood in this area, guys. Look at all the blood. Did you just aim at me? Don't you aim at me. Don't you ever aim at me. Son of a bitch. Dude, this thing's aggro for some reason. This big meat slime. Boy, it bled fast. For being coated in blood, you think it would have a little bit of resistance to bleed. But the whole reason that it does that, there's actually a reason why every enemy in here bleeds pretty easily. And that is because they have to bleed easily for offerings to the Lord of Blood. The Lord wants your blood, therefore bleed for him. Look at them worshipping at these gravestones and whatnot. And look, you can see these are from the eternal cities that this architecture and gravestones and whatnot are from. This is not Moghwyn stuff. He instead kind of just moved in here. Maybe he found it abandoned and made it his own little palace dynasty and whatnot. A nascent butterfly. What's that doing down here? By the way, because there's all these different tombstones and graves and whatnot all over the place, there's a lot of different ways that people have found to jump out of bounds or to cheat their way to areas they're not supposed to get to in the Moghwyn Palace. It's pretty funny. Speedrunners have perfected certain strats to the point where I think 3 different times or 4 different times they had to change the layout of stuff to prevent people from jumping into the boss's arena and the boss not having their AI loaded because you didn't go through the fog wall. So you just get a free kill on the boss. Kind of hilarious. Those ones, I can understand them fixing because everybody was using those exploits. Not like the other skips where they're like, let me just reform this entire mountainside and tree because speedrunners are doing an incredibly difficult skip. Jesus! He doesn't stagger, and he kills me in 3 hits, and all of them were counter hits. As in, while I'm attacking him, he attacks. I'm always surprised by late-game Elden Ring's enemy damage. Even still, with the exception of some boss outputs, but like normal enemy damage is ridiculous. Sheesh. Take that, you nerd. Hey, look! That sanguine noble was preventing us from meeting our friend.
Oh, dear. I'm terribly sorry. Are you here as a customer?
The imprisoned merchant. He's got rune arcs, staunching boluses, professoring bloody fingers, blood roses, 5 stone sword keys, lost ashes of war, dwelling arrows, and bird bolts. You can buy infinite dwelling arrows here. And bird bolts, I don't think we've seen them, but a bolt covered in thorns, one of the most horrific weapons used in the Shattering, afflicts the target with blood loss. Difficult to remove once buried in the flesh, causing appalling damage to the body. Yeah, those are things that really exist in real life.
Oh, I'm afraid of...
Just barbed stabby sticks so that once they're in, they don't tend to come out. What are you doing coming back? Nobody invited you. Look at the difference in bar movement when he hits to when I hit. Sheesh. I hit him once, and he loses, like, 2% of his health. He hits me once, and I lose, like, 30 to 40% of my health. It's insanity. He killed more crows? Well, he does live here. That makes sense. Ghost Glovewort, 9. It's dark in here. I can't see my hand in front of my dick. Ghost Glovewort, 10! I mean, Great Ghost Glovewort, that's what they call it. But it's a 10. You can tell it's a 10 because it has one giant bulb on it. The other ones have as many small bulbs as their number. So a 9 has 9 small bulbs. For example. Really, sir? Really? Oh, God. The bleed swamp. Look at this. Miyazaki created characters, enemies that can make swamps. Blood swamps. That's the literal blood swamp, man. It slows your movement. It slowly builds up hemorrhaging. Oh, no! Oh. God. That could have been worse, I guess. Automatic parry. These are probably Miyazaki's favorite enemies, because they're just like, I create a swamp. From nothing. Oh, come on. Do you have to continue spawning infinitely, big guy? There's the swamp. Hope you guys are excited for the Sleep Swamp in the DLC. I mean, look at it. It's exactly like a swamp. Swamp that drains levels? Oh god, no. Oh my god, they would totally do that. A swamp that temporarily drains your levels? Okay, did I grab everything important in there? I believe so. Yep. Grabbed our big upgrades and stuff. But there is one more thing to do. There is a red summon sign here. We can invade White Mask Vare's world. Let's go find him. Let us put an end to Vare's quest line. Where do you think he's waiting for us?
You seek violence. Heedless of my warning, though you have been raised to a knight of the dynasty, I am pained to the very depths of my being. I'll ensure you regret this, my lambkin. Enjoy your miserable death.
Do you like his weapon? He's swinging some flowers. Sir, what is your... Oh, what is your vigor level at and your faith level at? Holy crap. I guess your faith has to be pretty high to become such a high-level adherent to Mogh, the Lord of Blood. Now bleed for him! I said bleed for him!
Why must I be disgraced by this lowborn?
He said Dynasty weird. Yes, they pronounce it Dynasty in this game. I'm not sure if that's, like, just a different pronunciation, different English pronunciation or not. Probably is. And here we find Vare crawling on his knees like the child he is. He got spanked by the daddy tarnished.
Oh, luminary Moghwyn, please grant the strength you promised. I have given everything. Please, my lord. Please, answer me, luminary Moghwyn. Bless the Moghwyn dynasty with love.
Festering Bloody Finger and Vare's Bouquet, the weapon he was using. It counts as a club. A steel mace resembling a charming bouquet of roses. Each petal has a sharpened edge, leaving the roses perpetually covered in blood. This weapon reflects White Mask Vare's manner of speech, rather, well, enticing in its splendor, but full of deadly consequence. Skill Blood Tax. Blood Oath skill granted by the Lord of Blood. Rush forward and unleash a flurry of thrusts that rob the target of both their blood and their HP. This is the highest bleed build-up weapon in the entire game. At 89. That's better than any other weapon by a fair bit. The problem is, its damage output is incredibly pitiful, and even with that massive blood buildup, it just isn't as good as using a normal weapon that happens to have some blood buildup. Because, again, look at its damage. 46 base damage at +0. That is so pathetic. That is incredibly pathetic. And you see how it swings like a normal mace. If I compare that to, say, Reduvia, that has a 71 blood loss buildup, but it swings twice as fast, Reduvia is way better at getting blood loss, and it does more damage, even though it's a dagger. And then if I compare that to, say, Rivers of Blood, which does pretty solid katana damage, mix of physical and fire, and also has 65 blood loss buildup, it ain't even close. Vare's Bouquet is one of the worst weapons in the entire game because of that. It just has such incredibly low damage output, it's super not worth using. Anyway, quick little, let's do a quick little rundown of Vare's quest line. Reminder, Vare is the first person we ever meet and talk with, the first person we have a conversation with in the entire game's journey. Technically, we are met with Melina earlier than that, but she finds us unconscious and kind of talks at us. But the first thing he does is give us a little bit of, guidance. He guides us toward doing what the Tarnished should do, following the grace of gold. But, oh, you're maidenless, you poor thing. And it's surprising that he doesn't, immediately try to indoctrinate us into the cult of blood here. After being like, you're maidenless, but we might have a way for you to gain power, I think that would have made sense, but, and heck, maybe internally they tried that at some point in time, but unfortunately it didn't work out too well, so they changed it. But, either way, after we eventually gain access to the Round Table Hold and meet with the Two Fingers, we talk to him, and he's like, yes, how did the Two Fingers seem to you? And if we tell him they seemed great, he'd be like, yes, of course. All Tarnished yearn to do the bidding of the Two Fingers and become Elden Lord. And he'll just play it off instantly. But the second you say there's something off about them, he's like, I knew you seemed like a smart fellow. And then you begin your quest line with him as long as you do that. If you say you're fine with the Two Fingers, you actually do have the ability to then come back and change your opinion. So he's open-minded enough to be like, people can change the way they think. Maybe a second meeting with the Two Fingers, or maybe the Two Fingers eventually reveals something that the Tarnished in question doesn't agree with, or they seem kind of weird eventually. If they eventually start thinking like that, then he's willing to start to bring them into the fold, And yes, as Nightning points out, it seems that he wants people that are more likely to agree with Mohg already, or at least have doubts about the Two Fingers, to join in. But again, considering he's supposed to be kind of manipulative behind the scenes in order to kind of trick people into this, because, reminder, he talks about how it is a dynasty formed with love from the great luminary, and all peoples shall be embraced by the love and warmth of this dynasty. And he talks about love and warmth, but and that everyone can be embraced by it. But in order to get invited here by Vare in the first place, we have to kill a maiden and soak a cloth with an etched rune in it in blood, which I think we actually still have on our person, do we not? Yeah, here we go. The Lord of Blood's favor. A fully reddened oath cloth dyed in a maiden's blood. On top of that, to prove ourselves worthy, we have to allow him to shove something under our fingernail, some blood under our fingernail, inject some of the Lord's blood under our fingernail, which seemed really painful. He even said you have the most wonderful screams afterwards. And self-bloodletting is a normal part of this cult. The reason that all those zombie people are here bleeding constantly, praying here, is because that's what the cult's about. Bleed yourself for the Lord of Blood. Or more for the Lord of Blood to give up the blood further to his consort's cocoon, which we'll be seeing soon enough. So despite it talking about love and warmth for all who wish to join, those that are not 100% with them, those that might have some questions about it, are not allowed in. Those that are a supporter of any other possible religion, even if they might think they might like something to hear something about, you know, maybe they're down with the blood, but they're also down with the dragons. Not allowed with the blood cult. And you must prove your devotion by offering up your blood to the Lord of Blood. Not so much on the love and the warmth stuff. Well, maybe the warmth. Blood is kind of warm. Anywho, after we have soaked our oath... Well, before we can soak our oath cloth, we first have to use the festering bloody fingers to invade 3 people and fight to the death. You can actually just evade and then instantly leave 3 times. Or you have to find an NPC invader that shows that you can... An NPC you can invade all the way in the Altus Plateau. I pointed it out when we got there, and defeat them. But doing the 3 festering bloody finger invasions lets you get access to this place much quicker. Because again, invade, leave, invade, leave, invade, leave, you're good to go. Bing, bang, boom. You don't have to fight, you don't have to win, none of it. All you gotta do is invade and leave. And again, if you want to do the PvP, best of luck to you. Elden Ring PvP, remember, people have to opt into that shit to get invaded, and if they're opting in, they probably have 4 or 5 people. They have 3 pillarmen standing behind them, posing, ready to kill your ass. The second that you're, like, in the game, you just hear the Pillarman theme. Bum, ba, bum, ba, ba, bum. And the sound of the bum, ba, bum is them bashing your head in with hammers. You will probably lose. That's just how Elden Ring is in its PvP. Anyway. You do that. You get the cloth. You're then told to kill your maiden. Although we didn't have a maiden. Vare was like, you are maidenless. I'm sure you'll figure something out. We can just find a dead maiden in one of the various places. Or you can kill Irina in her little quest line, or Hyetta. Those are both maidens. And end their quest line if you want. No good reason to. You do that, and then Vare shoves some blood under your fingernail, welcomes you in, and provides you with the Pure Blood Knight's Medal, which teleports you instantly to the Dynasty Mausoleum entrance. Problem is, Mohg yet slumbers beside the divinity. Be patient, the new dynasty is nigh. Basically, it's supposed to be, until you're called upon, just chill. Maybe until we talk to you, don't come knocking at our door. So if we do come knocking at the door, that's why White Mask Vare, the mysterious White Mask, will invade you 3 times on the way through, and then leave his invasion sign here. Because we're going against our orders. Because we're breaking into the mausoleum when we're not supposed to. Again, it's a we'll call you, you don't call us kind of relationship. Anyhow, Vare, despite being incredibly loyal to Mohg, probably Mohg's most loyal, and bringing new members into the dynasty, has not received any real blessings from Mohg, or power that he was promised, or love, or warmth. Instead, he is left dying, bleeding out on the palace floors. Exactly as you would expect from a cult. Doesn't Vikes Maiden work too? Yep, sure does. In fact, she's the closest maiden that you can go to where you start out at when you get the See, when you get the cloth, you're at the Rose Church, and the closest maiden to you is right over here at the Church of Inhibition. Distance-wise, that is. So technically, Vikes Maiden is the most convenient maiden to soak blood in. Bum 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 bum. Ba-da 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 ba-da-da-da. How do you know I'm here? What, do you smell me? Anyway, he's protecting this, which is a somber ancient dragon smithing stone. That is a +10 maximum somber weapon upgrade. He also has a large congregation of Albinorics with him, so I don't feel like fighting him and his 13 Albinorics. I will instead ignore their asses and leave. Bye! Bye! Hey! Nobody invited you. Bye! Anyway, I would highly suggest picking up that Ancient Somber Dragonstone, because there's only 5 in the game, I think? Ancient Dragon Rock Smithing Stone Drained of Color, a scale of the Ancient Dragon Lord, and Hidden Treasure of Harumazula. Strengthen special armaments to +10, maximum. The Ancient Dragon Lord's seat is said to lie beyond time. This stone lightly twists time, allowing the creation of a weapon capable of slaying a god. So, similar description to the Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone, only this one is drained of color. And because you actually get access to this area super early if you do Varya's questline, you can get a +10 Somber weapon very, 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 very quickly in this game. You can get a maxed out weapon in Elden Ring faster than any other of the Soulsborne series, because it's such an open-world game. Which, if you do that, does make a lot of the game a breeze. The early areas become super easy. So, hey, before we walk in there, let me point out that this right here, you see these little stones I'm jumping on? Whoops, I jumped over that one. Anyway, these got moved because they used to be so close to the edge that you could get on this, and then as long as you're holding run, you can jump right over there. Or jump right over there, and then jump over there for an easier jump. And then when you go in the arena like that, after you activate the boss fight, he doesn't have AI because the fog gate becomes right here. So once you start the boss fight, you quit out, and then you jump over there. And then after they had moved that, this side was then used because you could also use this side until they moved stuff again. And then after they did that, there was another way to do that by using Torrent and climbing around the edges on the rocks, so they had to reshape the rocks. And then there was a time Torrent could fly, so they had to remove the ability for Torrent to fly. And yes, there was the ability to shoot arrows at him that they had to move stuff from. This has been the most abusable boss in the entire game, and he deserves it because fuck this guy. I just thought I'd point it out because it's really funny how many times they've had to reshape the stuff around the outside of the arena, including literally the rocks around the arena out there past the pillars, in order to prevent people from cheesing it. Anyway, let's go talk with Mohg. Surely he will welcome me with open arms to his dynasty. Surely. Hey, look at that. Soft, fuzzy cocoon with an arm. That arm don't look too good. If I'll say one thing, Mohg is pretty fucking cool as a boss.
Dearest Mikola. You must abide alone a while. Welcome, honored guest, to the birthplace of our dynasty.
Mikola, hey, we know that name. Flame, grant me strength. I'm gonna need it for this bullshit. Bring it on, Mogue. Lord of Blood, more like Lord of Bleeding to Death. Got him. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. That big, slow attack. Remember the Mogue we fought down in the sewer? And that we got a shackle? This is the same Mogue. Only the sewer one is more a projection of him, much like Margit was a projection of Morgott. Trace. What are we tracing? Oofas. Projection by who? Himself? Yes. Probably. Hey, we've got 2 rings around us now. Anus. Ow! Look how much he healed with that bullshit. Also, notice that the blood loss he does with Nihil cannot be blocked by our bubble. Uh-oh. I forgot. Look at all the blood flame all over the arena. Fucking ow, bro. Oops. A lot of oops going on this fight right now. Oops. A lot of oops going on right now. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, I'm very dead here. I oopsed way too much. Ow. So yeah, there's 2 parts about this fight I'm not the biggest fan of. Number 1 is Nihil. 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 And number 2 is that once phase 2 starts, he just starts pissing blood all over the floor. It's really gross, man. What? How'd that hit me? Why is Nihil so cool? Because he says it 3 times. It doesn't matter that the arena is pretty big. He shoves it everywhere. I'm dead. Not dead. I used the I'm dead shield to get that heal out fast enough. You know what? Kill me. I want to try again. That was a bad start.
Mine alone.
Yes, there is a bubble too that reduces the damage taken by Nihil by like almost all of it. I'm not gonna use it because I like pain. I'm a horrible, horrible masochist. Twist my balls, Daddy Moog. All of his attacks are very dodgeable. He just has really big delay on most of his attacks. I mean, really, really big delay. So a lot of it is like really easy to get clipped by. Dude really likes to take like 5 steps before swinging sometimes. Oh yeah, see what I mean?
Is mine and mine alone.
See what I mean by really delayed movements? Mega F? It doesn't look like on my end anything happened. It would have to be on Twitch's server end. I have dropped no frames. It is Twitch that dropped frames. Sorry if that happened, chat. I was just saying, see what I mean by him having, like, mega delays on some of his moves. And that's so different from many other enemies in the game. Most enemies are fast, fast, fast. He's like a legit Dark Souls enemy in how his swings are paced. Which is one thing I like. I just wish he didn't also have that Nihil bullshit. Raining blood! From a lacerated sky. Somebody was listening to Slayer when they designed this boss fight. Honestly. I hate that attack so much. That attack covers way too much area near him. He's low enough health to say Una. Anus. There it is. Yeah, you stab that outer guy.
Is mine and mine alone.
How did that do that much damage? Why did it do extra damage? Why did that do extra damage? I am confused. That did more than half my health. It should not have done that much damage. What the fuck, game? Why game cheats? Well, anyone that's ever done this fight before would not have expected that to kill me because it doesn't do that much damage. Ever. That was the first time in history it did that much damage. Ow. You gotta circle around him for that attack. No, no, I'm gonna poke your butt. Bleeding Moog gives him a buff, that is true, but I like to bleed Moog. He bleeds so easily. He's actually really, really susceptible to bleed. Anus. Ow. Also ow. As far as I know, Nihil can't do bonus damage. Bro, why was I not allowed to get up and... Why was I stuck to the ground so long with the stab? Did they change that? You used to be able to dodge the explosion after it. What he's saying is me heal? Well, he does certainly heal from it. A lot. Well, it's a great start so far. Great start so far. What? Was I early by like a nano fucking second? With your extremely long swing? Anus. I'm gonna say it every time. Sit! Oh my god, he didn't sit. Sit! Yeah, so I think that phase 2 makes him immune to that, by the way. I think you can phase 1 it. Oops. I have to beat Moog with a bleed weapon. I have to become the new Lord of Blood. Please understand, chat. Kaboom. Okay. I was just mistiming my roll before then. Fuck. Man, when he starts going, he does not stop going, does he? Yep.
Is mine.
That was my bad. That was my bad. If he really wants to not stop attacking, he can just not stop attacking. And like I said before, the problem with him not stop attacking is that he leaves that flaming blood everywhere, which builds up bleed and does damage to you by, you know, having the audacity to stand in the arena. No slam? Okay. Duo. Anus! Gotta go real far away if I want to cast this. Oh my god. Even going that far away, I still got punished. Boy's got some reach on him, huh? Uh-oh. Yeah. I'm gonna bleed soon. Dude, look at this shit. I'm dead. How was there still blood there? No, your stupid blood spray killed me. It did so much damage. Oh, it's so fucking dumb, man. What did he do? Like half of my heals just from the blood that he sprays on the ground that sits there for 30 years? Bleeds me? Ah, it's so dumb. Sit, asshole. He went, it's Moghwyn time, and Moghwyn all over the place. You're right, he did. That is exactly what happened. Ow. God, the range on that. That's fine, though. Okay, kill me. Bad start. Just kill me.
Nicola is mine and mine alone.
The smart thing to do would be to do my Flask of Wondrous Physic and make knee heal much less potent. I might have to do that with how things are going. If you let him exist in Phase 2 for any amount of time by not having a max upgraded weapon and annihilating the fuck out of him, it's awful. As you've seen. The entire arena just becomes the floor is lava. Can I sit you down now? Nope. That took a longer time to swing than I thought it would. Tiny bit of blood flame was on the ground, therefore it made me bleed. Man, since blood flame builds up bleed so much, it sure is good that there isn't infinity of it on the ground or anything. God, it's so much range. Will you stop bleeding the ground, please? Nope, nope.
Is mine and mine alone.
I thought he was doing the slam. Instead, he did the stab. That's my fault. I rolled bad. Do the fire defense talismans work against him? Nope. Maybe a tiny bit. But just for reducing the tiny little tick damage that the flames do to you. It's not the tick damage that makes the flames bad, although it adds to it. It's the fact that it gives you like 25% bleed by accidentally touching a tiny bit of the blood. Like 9 times out of 10, it's not his own damage that's doing anything to me. It's instead the stupid blood flame on the ground in Phase 2. Once blood flame is on all of the ground on Phase 2, your pinky toe touches it and you gain 25% bleed buildup. This fight is mostly a race against time once Phase 2 begins. Which means I really should stop, like, trying to get this off once Phase 2 begins. I should just try killing him. ASAP. Because as you can see, I dodge basically every attack he can do. Every once in a while he hits me, but the vast majority of the hits I take are just the blood flame on the ground into bleed damage. Which is not particularly satisfying, in my opinion, for a boss fight to feel like that. Oops. Here comes the anus. Do you know how awful this fight is at level 1? It's probably the worst fight in the game at level 1. I'd rather do Melania at level 1 than this guy. Nihil. Oh! What the hell, game? I rolled. Bleed for me, Moog. Bleed for me. He's like, get out of my way. I can't reach him. Even with my super long trident, I couldn't reach. Oh. Fuck. What a wind up on that one. I deserve that. No! I deserve that too. I deserve that. I deserve it all. Oh my god. Those last 3 hits I took, I deserved every single one of them. What was wrong with me? You know what? I surrender. I'm so fucking bad at this fight. I'm so goddamn bad at this fight. I surrender. Where is it? There it is. You win, Moog. I'm gonna activate my cheating item. go in with the bouquet and propose a peaceful solution. I don't think that'll work. He has his eyes set on another man. The other thing I could do is max upgrade my weapon so I have better damage output. And then make the fight shorter. Okay. He punished the fuck out of that drink.
Is mine and mine alone.
I rolled, but alright game. Sure. This is one of the very few bosses that, depending on what attack he decides to do, you can drink in his face without getting punished. Because some of his attacks are legitimately too slow to punish you. Yeah, I mean, he's a strong boss. You know, he does like 80% a hit. It's not like he's weak. Anus. Now look at his damage. I roll. I roll and it no roll. I press and it's no go. Ah, you gotta let him do the upwards float first. I'm getting annihilated. This is going terribly. Whoop. In case you're wondering the reason why most players don't beat this boss, it's the fucking flame on the ground that builds up all the blood loss in the universe. Nope, you can't do more than 2 at most. Which is better than most bosses. Most bosses give you 1. Mohg's kind enough to give you 2. To make up for the fact that if he wants to, he can do that combo, which is some fucking long combo bullshit, man. That blood loss almost killed me. It almost staggered me long enough for him to hit. Careful. 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 Papa staunching. Stay frosty. That's not staying frosty at all. Ow. Let him come to you. Here he comes. No, that is the worst follow-up he could have done. Alright, I'm getting away from the bleed floor for a second. I'm out of heals. It's close. I did the stupid shit. The floor is on fire again. Stop making the floor lava! No! Finish him! No! Look at him. He has no HP. I went for it. He had 1 HP. No. Ah. 1 HP, dude. Good start, good start. Just eat that hit like a genius. Well, there's a reason why I don't like that particular explosion he does. Anus! Go on, give me the anus. All right. I have all the advantages in the world, with the exception of that hitting me, to win this. Not the combo! Ugh. Okay, let's stop being stupid for 2 seconds. If I stop being stupid for 2 seconds, we win. Alright. Stupidity turned off. Intelligence turned back on. We're gonna win now. I say as I take another stupid hit. Oh, he got stuck on nothing. Look at that. All right, sir, let's go. Ow. So much blood flame! I held back too long. I'm fucked. Once I got caught in the blood flame vortex, it just didn't stop. Kaboom. Fly. Another swing. I am the new Lord of Blood!
See it as clear as day. The coming of our dynasty. Moghwyn.
Yay! The fireworks. Whew, that's a tough fight. Because he just coats the floor in bleed juice everywhere. If not for the bleed juice on the floor in Phase 2, it would be a fine fight. Like, he's got perfectly good stuff. The hits are punishing. He's got very different tells from the other bosses. And big wind-ups that are very different from most bosses. Similar to Margit and Morgott, who have big wind-ups as well. And in general, I think he would be a really fair fight if the flaming blood wasn't thrown around with every swing of his trident. Because when, like, over half of the arena is covered in don't touch this juice, it's a fire swamp. Look, chat, we found another swamp. It's a fire bleed swamp that the boss makes. My goodness, guys. Miyazaki sure did work really hard on not including swamps in the game. I had to turn my stupid switch off for a second. Boy. He even beat me down enough. Now, I will say, you know, a little bit of fairness to me. I'm using one of the worst weapons in the game for fighting Mohg. Mohg is resistant to both fire damage, which this does, and gets buffed to... It buffed in his own power whenever he bleeds. He wants to bleed. You don't want to bleed him. But I wanted to beat him with a blood weapon. Because... I am the new Lord of Blood. Me. Goodbye, Mohg. Anyway. It's just his Phase 2 is only rough because of that fire, that blood flame on the ground. If it wasn't sprayed all over the ground, it would be a perfectly good fight. In fact, I'd love it because it's so fucking metal and cool. It's so metal and cool. Mohg is, like, super duper cool. I just wish his boss fight didn't make me want to tear my face off. Once Nihil begins and Phase 2 ends. And I'm just honestly kind of bad at the fight. So I can make all the excuses I want. I'm honestly not particularly good at that fight. No matter how many times I have practiced him, he's just so incredibly different from the other boss timings that exist out there. If you aren't annihilating the crap out of him before Phase 2 begins, it's really, really easy to get caught off pace compared to a lot of stuff. And remember, it's not like I'm bad at the game. I've beaten him at rune level 1. I've beaten all the Remembrance bosses at rune level 1. It's just, you know, it is what it is. Just a rough fight, especially if you're using an unoptimized build. Hell, my rune level 1 build and the way that you can set up for that is probably stronger than the build I used for him here. In fact, I would say it is absolutely stronger than the build I used here for him. Hello, entrants to DLC. How are you? I can't wait to enter the DLC in a few days. That's a really big hand. So, before we go too far, let's actually talk about the lore, because we are done with the Moghwyn Palace. Remembrance of the Blood Lord. Of Mogh, Lord of Blood, hewn to the Erd Tree, the remembrance, that is. Wishing to raise Miquella to full godhood, Mogh wished to become his consort, taking the role of monarch. But no matter how much of his bloody bedchamber he tried to share, he received no response from the young Empyrean. Hey, look! This is Miquella, inside of a cocoon, and completely and totally unresponsive. If anything, it almost seems like Miquella's completely dead. You can't even really see too much inside it, other than this looks like a decrepit corpse. And Mogh has had Miquella here for quite some time. He kidnapped Miquella a long, long time ago. In fact, if you take a look at the beginning opening cutscene, you can see Mogh carrying a young child, and that child fits within his arm. That's all. Like, just the size of a normal child fitting in his arm. But now, Miquella has grown to a point of being huge. Massive. Like, Miquella's hand was as big as Mogh's head. You gotta wonder, how the hell did that happen? Especially considering Miquella is supposed to have been cursed with eternal childhood. Or, afflicted with eternal childhood via the meddling of an outer god, more than likely. But wait a second. Miquella created unalloyed gold. And unalloyed gold is supposed to help, beat back the meddling of an outer god. So perhaps Miquella found a way to undo that curse on his body, but whatever's been going on with him so far, he's completely and totally unresponsive. You can even bleed the crap out of him. He don't care. So, yeah. Can't really kill a god with dust and death. Yes, I'm aware, but still, the fact of the matter is that his body is withered like a corpse. There is reason behind that. We'll get a little bit more information on that a little bit later. But let's head back to the round table and take a look at what we can get from the Remembrance of Mogh. Also, he gives us 420,000 runes. 420, and he shoots fire at you. Just blaze? I see your joke there, FromSoft. So hey, we can now get the Lord of Blood's robe, attire of Mogh, the Lord of Blood, embroidered with an extravagant gold emblem on black cloth. The dress of a luminary, the reigning lord and hierarch of the coming dynasty of Moghwyn. Or, perhaps, of a raving lunatic. Yeah, a little bit of column A, column B on that one. And as for the equipment he can give us a spell and a weapon. So, Moghwyn's Sacred Spear, Trident of Mogh, Lord of Blood, a sacred spear that will come to symbolize his dynasty. As well as serving as a weapon, it is an instrument of communion with an outer god who bestows power upon accursed blood. The Mother of Truth desires a wound. Unique skill, Blood Boon Ritual. Raise the sacred spear and pierce the body of the formless mother. Stab up to 3 times, creating explosions of blood with each thrust. Literally, that is his nihil, nihil, nihil. This skill will coat the armament with blood flame for a while. Or if you're Mogh, forever. Or the incantation Blood Boon. Sacred incantation of Mogh, Lord of Blood. Thrust your arm into the body of the formless mother, then scatter the blood flame to set the area ablaze. This incantation can be cast while in motion. The Mother of Truth craves wounds. When Mogh stood before her deep underground, his accursed blood erupted with fire, and he was besotted with the defilement that he was born into. So, this uncovers more fun outer god yada yada. And that is this formless mother outer god, aka the Mother of Truth. One strongly linked with accursed blood or blood in general, Mohg worships her, was trying to use her powers to elevate Miquella to the status of godhood. Because what we've seen is that an outer god is able to raise the status of an Empyrean to godhood in the lands between, or probably wherever they decide to make their appearance at, right? Which is exactly how it worked with Marika. She was born a Newman woman, but raised to the status of godhood because she was an Empyrean and formed in accord with the greater will. This is the exact same thing that Mohg is trying to do. Mohg was not born as an Empyrean. Mohg was not born with the ability to become a god. He didn't have the special protagonist gene for his birth. But Miquella was, and Malenia was, and Ranni was. Possibly Godwyn. We actually never get any confirmation on whether Godwyn was or was not an Empyrean before he was slain. But because Mohg wanted to raise a new dynasty of blood, because he wanted to become a monarch, but he couldn't reach the status of godhood himself, he needed an ally, or in this case, a consort. So he kidnapped Miquella, put Miquella into that cocoon, and started making blood donations and having all of his followers making these blood sacrifices and blood donations to the Formless Mother in order to try and use the power of the Formless Mother, or the Mother of Truth, as it says here, to raise Miquella to the status of godhood. And Mohg would become king consort, aka basically he was going to marry Miquella, which is a little bit of inbreeding, but it's nothing. Inbreeding's common for... Wait a second, incest? George R.R. Martin wrote this. I see what part of this game you wrote, Mr. Martin. I've seen Game of Thrones. Anyway, basically, Mohg was trying to force the Mother of Truth to use Miquella as a container to elevate Miquella to godhood as a vassal, much like how the Greater Will worked with Marika. Mohg seemed to have a pretty good idea of how this thing works. Maybe he even learned it from the Formless Mother in some, flash of inspiration. But unfortunately for Mohg, I believe that another outer god has already, at some point in time, made contact with Miquella, probably at his birth, and that is what prevented Miquella's body from growing up in the first place, what cursed Miquella with eternal childhood, much like the outer god of Rot was able to make contact with Malenia from birth. And her body is racked with rot. Miquella's body is racked with childhood, with youth. So that might be something that prevented Mohg from achieving his goals. But despite the fact that his goals weren't being achieved, he was still very determined. So he kept going, okay, all right, we'll just keep making sacrifices. We just need more blood. If we get enough blood, it's fine. An Empyrean's demigod contains the blessings of an outer god? No. An Empyrean is just a special person. That's it. No blessings or anything like that is necessary. In fact, Empyrean, the word that is used in Japanese is shinjin, which means divine person, which just means, as far as I can tell, they are already, on the path to godhood. And any minor interference will get them into godhood. They are born as a vessel that can contain the power of godhood. And that's what makes them different from anyone else out there. Marika was not born a demigod. She was born a Newman woman. She was born a normal person, aside from the fact that she had a body capable of containing the power of godhood and wielding it. And it's quite possible that someone that's not capable of that, trying to be a vassal for this kind of outer god energy, gets completely consumed by it or overblown by it. In fact, if we are to consider the great snake in outer god that had a physical form in the lands between, you see that Rykard was completely consumed by it. Rather than keeping his own vessel, he had to give it up in order to try and become part of the outer god instead of becoming a proper vessel for the energy. So, let's go over, like, Mohg's history, right? He's child of Marika and Godfrey, twin of Morgott, born as an accursed omen. Kept in the subterranean shunning grounds ever since he was born because of the fact that he was born an omen. And omens are the big no-no because they are, the Golden Order says omens bad, and they have to be either excised of their blasphemy and having all their horns cut off, and more than likely that kills them. Or if they're noble, they're lucky enough that, hey, you're not going to get all your horns cut off and probably die, but we are going to throw you in jail forever. In the stinky sewers. So the difference between Mohg and Morgott, though, is unlike Morgott, Mohg embraced his accursed blood, and because he embraced it, because he shunned the Golden Order, kind of rightfully so, considering he was thrown in jail, as a baby. He was thrown in baby jail. Because he did so, maybe that was enough to allow him for his accursed blood to boil over to a point that he made contact with this outer god of blood, known as the Formless Mother, who then gifted him with the powers to make use of his blood flame. After shattering of the Elden Ring happened, those that were trapped underneath the capital of Leyndell were able to free themselves. The shackles that imprisoned Mohg and Morgott, for example, got shattered as well, and only portions of them remained. Once they were freed, Mohg made his way up and out, but he stuck to the shadows and hid, as opposed to going full on in the face of everything like Morgott did. Morgott went right out on the front lines and said, all you motherfuckers trying to stop the Golden Order? Absolutely not. And then started fighting. Mohg, on the other hand, is like, my brother's pretty strong, and that Radahn guy's pretty big and scary. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my god to beat up their god, because my mom is stronger than their mom. I just need someone that can contain the vessel of my god, and my god will totally beat up their god. And so he hatched a plan. There are 3 Empyreans within the demigods that he would know of. Ranni, Malenia, Miquella. Ranni's an accomplished and very powerful witch. On top of that, by the time the shattering began, this has been after the Night of Black Flames, Ranni has already shed her Empyrean flesh, and if anyone figured that out, like Mohg did, Ranni's completely off the table. She no longer contains an Empyrean body. She no longer has the ability to become a god properly. That one's gone. Which leaves Malenia and Miquella. Now, I don't know about you, but if I learned that Malenia went and fought Radahn to a standstill and then eventually exploded Caelid and Rot, I would probably avoid her too. That seems like the wrong person to try and kidnap. She'd probably resist pretty hard. On the other hand, a young child that looks about the age of maybe 7 or 8, why, that's not going to fight back much at all. Let me go get my windowless white van and offer him some candy, and we'll take him right down to the Moghwyn Dynasty. And that's how Mohg did it. He got in his windowless white van and offered the young child some candy. Yeah, it's supposed to sound very creepy and gross, because Mohg is supposed to be very creepy and gross. So, Mohg kidnapped the best possible choice that he could find to become the new vessel for the Formless Mother and raise their dynasty of blood to the status of the New Order. And if he was successful, and if Mikola had agreed to that kind of thing, honestly, that would be an incredibly potent thing for him to have done. Because Mohg himself is not a proper vessel for the power of the Formless Mother and the outer god of blood and flame. And he's still incredibly powerful. Like, ridiculously strong. You saw how badly he whipped my ass. I got my ass kicked quite a bit by him. Imagine that kind of power, but more. Not a lot is going to even come close to stopping that. Maybe Radahn in his prime, but by the time that this plan had been enacted, it was probably after or during the battle between Radahn and Malenia. And after that, Radahn, well, he's not really in his prime anymore once he started being rotted from the inside out. Malenia? Okay, fair enough. She'd be a pretty tough fight. But if Mikola was on this side anyway, Malenia is fully loyal to Mikola. So Mohg was covering two bases right there. If Mikola agrees to this, if Mikola becomes the god of blood and accepts Mohg as consort, Malenia will also join, because Malenia had already told everyone she fights not for herself but for her brother Mikola. He is the most qualified person to become a god in her eyes. He will be the one to bring a better order, the new order, greater than the Golden Order. She's completely and totally going to go with whatever Mikola wants to do. Mohg's got both bases covered and would get an insanely powerful ally on his side in the form of Malenia, who had already proven herself quite capable, and would have brought two Empyreans for the price of one into the fold by going after Mikola, which gives him extra reason to go after Mikola beyond the whole, it's a child and he probably can't fight back that well. So when you get right down to it, Mohg's plan from, a very basic perspective wasn't a terrible one. It was a pretty well thought out plan. The only thing that he didn't really take into consideration is whether or not Mikola would agree to this, and well, let's see what Mikola's actions have been so far that we know of. Mikola has been spending most of his lifetime trying to find a way to cure his sister of rot. Well, maybe Mohg thinks that he can use the power of the Formless Mother and tell Mikola that that power would be able to cure the rot, or at least say it's worth a try. So he might have a bargaining chip there. Mikola also made a Halig tree, which is basically his own version of the Erd tree, in order to create his own nation of sorts. Mikola has invited all of the downcast, the downtrodden, those who have been chased out of their own homes and whatnot, those that need help most of all, the likes of the Albanorax and the demi-humans and the misbegotten. Mikola specifically invited all of them to his kingdom and said, everyone is welcome here. Those of you that are persecuted will find sanctuary with us. But guess what? Moghwyn also did that. Mohg also did that for his dynasty. There's a bunch of Albanorax out there. He doesn't seem to mind. He doesn't seem to think them horrible, and he himself is an omen. So you know what? Maybe that'd be fine too. Mohg's actually thought this through pretty solidly. The logic is there. The only problem is that by the time he finds Mikola, Mikola is in an unrousing slumber. He's comatose, basically, and does not respond to anything at all. Whether it be offerings of blood, whether it be shedding his own blood, whether it be his body withering and dilapidating as he continues to sleep for hundreds of years, maybe. No matter what, Mikola just doesn't awaken, and so Moog says, "Okay, I'll sleep with you. I'll sleep next to you. We will share our chambers and make more offerings of blood until you awaken. And I shall be your monarch, and you shall be our new god." Just 500 more years. But he never received any response from the young Empyrean. So yeah. There we go. Now I got a fancy robe. At the end of the day, what Moog was really doing is just trying to be very self-serving. Remember what Morgott called it, the flame of ambition, burning strongly within Moog's breast to create his own dynasty. But unfortunately for him, it was never going to be, because Mikola would never respond to him, and thus Moog would just be kept... He'd be kept, you know, sending text messages and then looking. It's like, man, he still hasn't read this. Okay, eventually. He'll get there eventually. Poor Moog. He was insane. Now then, since we have dealt with the Moghwyn dynasty and figured some stuff out, let's talk with Gideon.
You helped get the girl back on her feet. Though I'm not her foster father anymore, I'd
Nefeli.
still like to thank you. Sorry for the time you had to waste.
For the time... Oh, I hate Gideon so fucking much. I hate the way he treats Nefeli so goddamn much. Sorry for the time you had to waste. About the Lord of Blood's cocoon.
Ah, I see. So Mikola was with the Lord of Blood after all. That is some fine intelligence indeed. With it, the final clue has been brought into the light. One of the last few pieces of the round table. I need to put everything together. As promised, allow me to impart to you the last of the secret rites, known only to me.
The law of causality.
Well, I wonder what comes next. If he continues his slumber within the cocoon, all would be well. But perhaps it would be safer to destroy it. Mikola is the one thing that remains a mystery to me.
Good reason for that. That's because Mikola's going to be... The DLC is going to be all about Mikola, that's for sure. Hey, by the way, I got the secret medallions.
Ah, I see you've laid your hands on the other secret medallion. I'm glad to see my counsel has borne fruit. But the honor of the deed is yours alone. You've made more of yourself than Ensha has. Now, more importantly, both secret medallions are in your hands. I suppose you'd like to know, then? What awaits you on the path ahead? Me too, my friend. Me too. I wait with bated breath.
I'm going to kill you someday. Oh, I didn't say anything. Don't worry. Okay, so. You notice that if there's one thing that Gideon Ofnir hates, it is not knowing something. The moment, the absolute moment that he says that something remains a mystery to him and he can't figure it out, he's like, maybe I should just kill it. What if I just destroy it instead? Yeah, that's probably the better choice. Mikola remains a mystery to me. Maybe I should just kill him. He's a demigod, asshole. You can't kill him. You don't have the Rune of Destined Death. Although he did say destroy, so maybe it would be something a little different. All right, let's take a look at what he gave us. The Law of Causality. So we got the Law of Regression earlier, which, as we remember, is one of the key fundamentals. Heals all negative statuses, dispels special effects, and reveals mimicry in all its forms. It regresses everything to its basic form. No debuffs, no buffs, no mimicry, just exactly as you are. Now we have the Law of Causality, one of the incantations of the Golden Order fundamentalists, one of the key fundamentals. Manifests a small ring of causality within that allows the caster to automatically retaliate upon receiving a certain number of blows. The fundamentalists describe the Golden Order through the power of regression and causality. Causality is the pool between meanings, that which links all things in a chain of relation. It is literally, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That is the most basic way you can describe the law of causality. You take enough hits, you explode damage back at them. Just like that. Now, regression and causality are the two things that are the key fundamentals of the Golden Order. The fact that all things wish to regress and converge, and the fact that all things will have an equal and opposite reaction to whatever happens to them. Or the pull between meanings, the thing that links all things in a chain of relation. Notice that these two things are talking about all things being related or linked together. All things yearn to converge. All things are linked together in a chain of relations. That is because, fundamentally from the Golden Order, if we look at the information we have, that the Crucible, there we go. The primordial Crucible is where all life was once blended together. The natural original state of every being, of everything, is this weird cacophony blended mass of energy, probably, before life separated into different forms. Things like dragons, or giants, or humans, or animals, stuff like that. Originally, everything was just a whole jumble of everything put together. It was chaos, essentially. Like the concept of chaos before the creation of life, the separation and order from the chaos that created life. That's why it's called the Golden Order, because the Golden Order is about everything in the chaos from the primordial crucible and everything that existed in it, finding separate forms and stopping from being an amalgamous blend of everything and finding individuality. Which makes you wonder why the Golden Order opposes the Frenzy Flame, since it will melt back into one, essentially fulfilling both causality and regression. Because of the fact that the repercussions of it are the loss of all that individuality. This basically states that the natural state of existence itself is a conglomeration, an amalgamation of everything together into some blended form that might just be a mass of energy. That's the natural original state of the universe. However, order had to exist for the state of the world to change itself from just... Think of it like the Big Bang happening, right? It's changing from just a massive energy to a bunch of individual things that exist, and the existence of things that are organic, inorganic, etc. only happens once order is found and once these things come together. But these key fundamentals of the Golden Order are essentially the truths behind the Golden Order. The truths that, at the end of the day, it's technically unnatural for any form of life to exist other than something that is a blend of everything that exists. The misbegotten are the closer things to the natural form of life than people. This is why these laws of regression and causality, despite being key fundamentals, are things that are only available to people that have incredibly high intelligences and are willing to look deep into the truth of the Golden Order rather than rely purely on faith. And yes, the Golden Order is hypocritical. We've seen that a million times. I've been pointing it out on purpose over and over and over again that the Golden Order is hypocritical. And it's specifically because once we got these two laws together and we could talk about how they are hypocritical in a way to the existence of the Golden Order, it makes sense. You see all these examples of things that have been touched by the Crucible, by primordial life, whether it be creatures with tails, wings, feathers, scales, horns, etc. The omens, the misbegotten, the Crucible Knights and their showing of these Crucible things, dragons, basilisks even, all that stuff that is considered to be unnatural by the priests of the Golden Order, or at least the priests that adhere to the Two Fingers teachings. When you get digging deep into the truth behind the Golden Order, those are closer to the natural being of what things should be. Things should be more like the misbegotten, if not for the order imposed by the Golden Order further separating things as much as possible to make things more individual and distinct, rather than combined and amalgamous. And so, now that we have both the two key laws, I get to say finally, 100% definitively, the Golden Order is nothing but a bunch of fucking hypocrites saying a bunch of fucking hypocritical things, with maybe minor exceptions. Reminder, America probably found out about the law of causality and regression behind the Golden Order herself, and that's why it takes intelligence, and she was one of the very few people willing to even look into this, despite being the god of the Golden Order, despite being the one that everyone prays to, and the one that everyone gives, communion to and whatnot. When she said, and remember, we got this dialogue from Melina, when Marika said she wishes to divulge the truth behind the Golden Order, to seek deeper meaning within and of the greater will, she then followed with, "My comrades, why do ye falter?" Because everyone else is running on pure faith, maybe a little intelligence here and there, but mostly pure faith. The moment that someone in the religion, even their own god icon, starts thinking, we should look a little deeper into this and figure stuff out, because some of this stuff doesn't necessarily make perfect sense when you get right down to it with what the Two Fingers have been relaying to us about the greater will. Maybe we can look deeper into it to learn why these things are being dictated by the Two Fingers from the greater will. And the moment that someone's like that, everyone's like, I don't know about that. Why would we do that? We just need to have faith. Remember, every single Two Fingers thing is pure faith. All of them. The Golden Order is different from the Two Fingers and the Greater Will because the Golden Order is specifically Marika's order, and that's where we get some things that require intelligence. And you'll notice the ones that require intelligence, crafted by Mikola, crafted by Radagon, crafted by the Golden Order to hunt those who live in death, crafted by the Golden Order to help hunt those who live in death, crafted by the Golden Order to help hunt those who live in death, more than likely developed by the Golden Lineage demigods themselves because they were looking for a way to bring true death to Godwyn, crafted by the Golden Order to defeat those who live in death, and then pure intelligence are the fundamental laws of the universe that exist in the back of the Golden Order that are hidden from the forefront of the faithful. Because if you learn and you really sit down and think about this, it means that all those things that the two fingers have been teaching, all those pure faith things that the greater will has supposedly been handing down through the two fingers and whatnot, suddenly stop making all that much sense.